Well, we're going to bring up one of our amazing friends. So let's go ahead and introduce Miss Anita Gerber. Hey, girl, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. All righty. Now, I know your story, but we have many new challengers here who haven't had the pleasure of hearing your story yet. So could you let them know what was life like before you met me? I know you said this story so many times.
I know. I was just going through it. I was like, what do I got to say again?
I've interviewed you so many times, but what was life like before you met me? What were some of the things that you were struggling with?
Yeah. So I taught elementary school for 6 years, and I had quit because I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And so I was just at home with my kids. I had quit when I had my oldest. So I finished out that year teaching school, and then I stayed home, and he got old enough to be into preschool. And I had done all the different things. I had done pampered chef, and I babysat. I was doing some home sewing thing for this lady. Anyway, and I was always looking for some way to make a little bit extra income just for the fun stuff. I just wanted to have a little extra. And so I always went to classes to keep my license current. And so I was in this class, and the thought just popped into my head, well, because it was an early childhood education class, and it was like, you should start a preschool. And I was like, whoa, I guess I could. And so then I went online, and that thought just kind of kept pestering me. And so I searched, how do you start a preschool? And your information popped up. And so I was like, oh, and I just watched your video, and I got your stuff. Back then it was like on CDs, but I got Preschool in a box, and I started my preschool, and it was so great. And people actually called, and they signed up to come to preschool, and I just started it. Like you had said, I started it in my, like my kitchen in my living room. And then it was starting to go. And I said to my husband, I think we could finish the basement and then have the preschool down there. And so that first year, I had started in January of 2014, and we finished out that year. And then I was like, let's finish the basement. So then I had only done one little class of 7 students. And then I started the next year, and we finished the basement to start in time for that August. And I had 2 full classes of 10 kids. And then we started in the basement, and then I grew from there. And it was nice because I was in control of what I wanted, my schedule, I wanted to make a certain amount of money, and I knew what I needed to bring in. And so that's what I did. And then I went to your first, what do you call it?
The summit.
The summit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The first one. And it kind of just opened my eyes a little bit. And so then I went back, and I took the things that I had learned that year. And I applied it that year. And it was awesome. And then when things get put into the air, I feel like God rewards you. Right. So then all of a sudden this building came up, and I was like, oh, should I buy this building? It was an old daycare that hadn't been open for years and years. And anyway, so we bought the building in December of 2019. And then everything crashed in March of 2020. So it's kind of been a roller coaster. Yeah. But we survived that first year. I look back and I think, I don't even know how I survived.
Right.
But we survived it, and here we are. And we remodeled the building and turned it into what we needed for the preschool. And then we have 2 different classrooms, and I hired some teachers. And so now, last year was my biggest year. I had done a 3rd classroom upstairs, but I decided this year that I kind of want to remodel it for real. And so I pulled back a little, and because if I remodel, I have to remodel in June, July, and August, and that's really tight for a remodel. So we're just back down to the 2 classrooms, and I have 8 classes of 12 students each, and there are 6 teachers, and it's kind of crazy how I went from 7 students to now I have this building, and now we're going to remodel and open a 3rd classroom. And anyway, that's where I'm at.
So you said 2014 is when you started, right?
Yes.
Okay. So oh my gosh, we could talk about so much, but I want to bring us back to those early days of 2014 when you just stumbled upon me, and you're like, this idea of a preschool. Wow. I'd always thought about daycare. But let's bring it back to the first 7 students, because I think
Yeah.
so many times when we get our first student, we're like, "Oh my gosh, I got this, student." And then sometimes just for the sake of being in preschool all-stars, we immediately compare or like, "Well, when am I going to get my 10, my 40, like some other all-stars?" And
Right.
we forget we never heard about the early days. All we know is the number they currently have, and there's a huge comparison game of like, when will I get that number? And I would love to just talk about that, because when you were getting your first students, right, your first 7, did were you like, "Oh my gosh, I only have 7?" Or like, what were your thoughts during that time?
Well, so you do want to start off like, right, like in my head, I was like, okay, if I could get 10, that would be
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
And then, but it was January, right? So I guess I had the hope, but I didn't have high expectations, right?
sure.
and then, and then I did get up to 7 and I was like, I cannot believe these people are paying me.
Right?
And so I did. I mean, I think it is discouraging, but at the same time, it was kind of amazing because I was like, wow, I just threw it out there that I'm starting this preschool. And people are like, okay, let me
Yeah,
bring my child to you.
yeah, right.
And so, but yeah, I have had years where I hope for a certain number and then
Mhm.
it doesn't happen. And then I'm like, oh, what can I do? How can I get more? And so I just go back to what you say, like because you outline lots of things for us,
Yeah,
like get your name out there, do more flyers. Like I
yeah.
remember, especially one time, I was like, I didn't fill the class, and you're like, Anita, you need to go print some more flyers. I was like, okay, I will
But I
do
don't
that.
want to, but
I
fine, I
know,
will.
right? It's just so much more work.
I know.
but but you just have to, shift your mindset. Like if you
Yeah.
think, oh, I don't have it, you just think I don't have it yet, because you
Mhm.
can find those people. You just maybe have to work a little bit harder. But
Yeah.
there people are out there.
Do you remember Princess Bride? Did you watch Princess Bride
Oh,
growing
I
up?
love The Princess Bride. Yeah.
Okay, I think there's a line in there, I could be misquoting, but I think it's like, "Life is work, highness," or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that, "Your highness." Anyways,
Yeah, yeah.
and you're like, "It's work. It is work. Come on,
Yeah,
guys."
yeah, yeah. I think
Um,
it's life is hard.
Probably,
Yeah.
seriously,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, but because
misquoting.
it's hard, you don't wanna have to work more.
I know, but we got the fruits of it. So back then, could you have foreseen, you're putting out your flyers, you're getting your first couple students. Could you ever foreseen that, let's see, 10 years later, you would have a building, you'd be remodeling for above 100 students, to go into the next school year with above 100? Like, could you foresee that the Anita of 2014 could have handled that in
Oh, no.
2014? Yeah.
Like, I think I look at where I'm at. I honestly, I walk into my preschool sometimes and I'm like, "How did this happen?" Like, who did this? I mean, I did this?
Yeah.
I it's so interesting. I think, like you have little thoughts pop into your head and then it's the right thing when you can't stop thinking about it, right? And
Mhm.
then it
Right.
just I feel like if you want something, then it just kind of puts you in motion and then you just keep going towards it.
Yeah.
And then you do all the things that you need to in order to accomplish that
Yeah.
goal or that thought. And
Right.
so, yeah, I never ever in my life thought that I would be a business owner, really. And that's what it boils down to. Like, I feel like I own this business now, and
Yeah.
it's like I always wanted to be a fourth grade teacher. I was always a teacher, and that's what I wanted to do. And I loved that. I loved teaching elementary
Mhm.
school, but truthfully, like where my life is now, I never would have thought that it would be here, but
Right.
I love it so much. And I love all of the impact that I can make, not only on students and families, but my teachers. I'm
Mhm.
learning how to be a better leader, I mean, just all the growth that has happened because I started a preschool
Yeah.
has been wonderful. So,
Yeah. So let's talk about that growth, because, being an entrepreneur is one of the most like scary roads, most fearful inducing, roller coaster rides, I would say. And we wake up every day with the responsibility on our shoulders, to keep those teachers staff, to,
right.
um, this is the money for our family, right? There's a lot of pressure on there, but like,
Yeah.
how have you how have you kind of grown into yourself over the years, as far as like, what were the things that helped you to grow? like inside, not just your business, but like
Oh
how
yeah.
did you
Yeah.
qualify to like have this?
I for sure feel like surrounding yourself with like-minded people and people who kind of understand what you are going through and what your vision is
Mhm.
so important. Like just I can't even tell you the friendships I've made with the sisters and like I mean lifelong friendships that I will cherish always. And like it's so fun because like when I first met Rita at the first summit, and
Yeah.
there was a time where there was something that happened at my preschool and I was like, oh my gosh, I do not know what to do. So I
Yeah.
called Rita. I was like, Rita, what should I do? This is what happened. And
Yeah.
she was like, okay. And she kind of walked me through it. So I think it's important to have people that you surround yourself with that can help you through things. And then I think, honestly, I think praying is a big thing, as a big
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, I just think there's just a greatness in that, that you
Absolutely.
can think there's a higher power helping you
Mhm.
in doing the
Yeah.
things that are right. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you were here this summer for Preschool All Stars Live.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you went off to Florida with three of our other sisters.
Yeah.
Which, come
Yes.
on, so fun. And so, I just announced too, we're going to be doing it again this next summer. So
Yes.
hopefully you'll be
Yes.
there again.
I will. Honestly, it's my favorite thing. Hands down, I will go to any conference that brings us together, like
Yes.
it's totally worth it.
Yeah. That's awesome. So if there were some all-stars out there who, well, sorry, some challengers who are not quite all-stars yet, and they're like, you know, wow, like I want what she has. I want that growth, but it just feels so far away, right? Like, and they're on the fence about joining Preschool All Stars. How would you help them to see, like, it just starts now? Like, what would you say to them?
I mean, I definitely think just be patient with yourself,
Mm,
with the journey. I think keep working hard, keep at it. If something happens that is like a roadblock, don't just give up and throw in the towel,
yeah.
because definitely I have had some roadblocks. And I think you just have to decide what you really want. And if you really want certain things, then go towards it and just keep going. Don't what's the thing, the line, don't quit the game, just work differently or play the
Mm,
game differently. That's what it is.
yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
but
So let's talk about how the preschool has blessed your family for a bit.
oh yeah.
Because, back then you were, doing the district thing and worried about putting your kids in daycare, not being home as a mom. Now you've got this business that supports your family, your home, things like that. So, like, what does your family think about all this? How's it blessed you guys?
So I think about this a lot because if I was teaching full time, life would have just been a lot differently. Like I my own children are in a program. It's called the dual immersion program. They learn Portuguese half the day. And so I actually drive them to a different school,
Yeah.
not our neighborhood school, even though it's right down the road. It kind of kills me, but that's what
Right.
we do.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have been able to do that. My husband speaks Portuguese. So now all of my kids speak Portuguese and they just
Cool.
talk to each other, and I can drive them. My schedule allows me to drive them to and from school
Yeah.
every day. I can take my kiddos to all their soccer games, even if it's early. I can get off. The schedule
Mm,
is just amazing. And
yeah.
I am so grateful for it. And now that I'm in my building, and I have these teachers that run it, I mean, I have awesome flexibility. So I was able to go to Florida to another conference, and my teachers just kind of ran the preschool, and they didn't need me, and it's just so amazing. Like this
Yeah.
is why I walk through the preschool and I think, well, how did this happen? I mean, I know how it happened because we have systems in place, but
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
but
So
yeah,
if
so
That's awesome. If someone was, wondering, is Preschool All Stars worth it? On Monday when the doors open, should I jump in? Is it worth it? What would you say?
yes, I would say it's worth it if you are willing to put forth the work. It's not going to magically happen. It's not going to, like, if you jump in and think, okay, I'm going to start making all this money. It doesn't happen that way.
Yeah.
But it's a slow and steady wins the race, like just keep at it. And I mean, it can definitely open the doors for many other things, and
Mm.
my life is way different and it's so good.
Yeah. I love that.
So,
Well, Anita, thanks for taking this time. I know you're super busy with everything. So thank you so much for
mhm.
being here with us on this
You're
Saturday.
welcome. Thank you, Joy. I just love you. Thank you.
Right back at you, Fred. All right. We'll see you soon.